Hi everyone, this is Admin from Admin 365 and today we are going to talk about how to perform Imap migration in Office 365. So let's get started. So earlier there was a way to perform Imap migration from the Office Admin Center, which has been removed, so we can only perform it from the Exchange Admin Center, the old Exchange Admin Center and the new Exchange Admin Center. So in this video we'll see how we can perform Imap migration from the new Exchange Admin Center. Let's get started. So we'll first go to office.com and sign in with the admin account, and it can be an Exchange admin or a global admin, and then we have to click on the 9 dots on the top left and then click on admin. It will open the Office Admin Center where it had the Imap migration earlier under setup, but now it has been removed. So we'll go to the Exchange Admin Center, and this is the new Exchange Admin Center, and you can navigate the old one from here as well if you want. And for us to perform migration, we'll go to the migration tab on the left, and these are the old batches for migration. For us to create a new batch for Imap migration, you simply have to provide an endpoint and the set of users which mailboxes you want to migrate from the Imap server. So we can try the migration from the Google. If you have a G Suite or Google Workspace, you can perform Imap migration. The only thing about the Imap migration is that it does have some limitation. It can only migrate emails to the Office 365 mailbox. Your contact, calendars and tasks will not be migrated, and there are limitations for the size of the emails as well. So we'll start with the Imap migration. I will click on add migration batch. It will show us a wizard with all the steps required to create a batch successfully. We will give it a name, a batch name, test batch 2, and migration to Exchange Online, because we are moving to Exchange Online from the third-party server. We'll hit next and we'll select the migration type to be Imap migration. You can also use Google Workspace migration. It does migrate everything including calendar, contacts and tasks, but it does require some APIs configuration to initiate the migration. We'll talk about that in a different video. For now we'll focus on Imap migration, which can be done from any Imap server and only emails get migrated. So we'll click on Imap migration here, then we will hit next, and it asks and it basically shows us what are the prerequisites for Imap migration. It states that you will have to create the user already in Office 365 and then assign them a license with a mailbox. You can add a domain if you want, or you can continue with the default on Microsoft.com domain and then change the domain later after the migration. You will need the full name of the source email servers and the Imap settings. For example, for Gmail is imap.gmail.com and the port is 993. And then we need a batch, a CSV file with the list of user on the destination, which is our Office 365, the source column where the email addresses of the user on the source Imap server, and then the next column with the password. So we'll simply hit next. It basically asks to create a migration endpoint or select if you already have one. So we'll create a migration endpoint to connect with the source server to check the connection. for the migration. So we'll give it a name, test to endpoint, because we already have some endpoint on this tenant. And you can keep this default. You can increase it to 100 as well if you want, and then hit next. And this is where it asks for the source server configuration. So for example, for Gmail, if you want to migrate email from a Gmail or the Google Workspace, you will use imap.gmail.com, and the authentication would be basic, encryption will be SSL, and the port will be 993. We'll hit next. It will check the endpoint, and it was able to successfully connect to the source server. We'll hit next, and this is where it asks us for the CSV file for the migration. You can simply download a CSV file with the header only, or if you want, you can download the CSV file with some example in it for better understanding. So if you open this CSV file, you will see how exactly it wants us to create the columns and fill the columns. So if I expand this here, so this is the mailboxes in Office 365. This is the email addresses or usernames on the source server, and this is the password of the source server mailboxes. So for example, this is the mailboxes in Office 365 where we want to migrate the data of source mailboxes, which is on the Gmail server. And the format can be different depending on your source. For Gmail, it would be your entire email address. For example, this is my email address on Gmail, so I will use this. This is just an example. You might have your custom domain on Gmail, G Suite. You can use that. You have to use the entire email address and then followed by its password. And the extra line you can get rid of. You can have 50 to 100 users syncing at a time. Let me just rephrase it again. This is your mailbox on Office 365. This is your Gmail account or your IMAP account, and this is your Gmail account's password. And about this password, this, if you already have MFA turned on your Gmail account, you will need app password. But if you don't have MFA turned on your Gmail account, then you will need your regular password. It usually works fine without any issue, but sometimes it does give us error that it is not able to communicate to the user's mailbox using this password. Then you will have to check if the less secure app access on Gmail or Google Workspace is turned on or not. If it is turned off, it will fail the migration. Then you will have to turn it on and give it a try again. If you're migrating from Google or Google Workspace and you have MFA turned on, in the password column you will require app password. And if your account does not have MFA turned on and your migration is still failing with the error that the username or password is incorrect, then you might want to check the less secure app access on your Google, whether it is turned off. If it is turned off, then you will have to turn it on and then provide your usual password, not the app password, and then give it a try. If you have MFA, then it will require app password. Then the less secure app access does not come into picture. But if you don't have MFA and when you use your normal password it fails, then you will have to check the less secure app access is turned on or not. If it is not, then you will have to turn it on and try the migration again. If it works for your test users, then you can turn it on for all the users and start the migration. So this is how the CSV file should look like. We'll take the sample CSV file and try to input into the batch to continue further. We'll not initiate the migration here. Just checking how the process works, and we'll select the sample file which we downloaded, and it was able to detect 2 users because we didn't save the file. If we save the file, it should be able to detect only 1 user because there is only 1 row. So we'll browse the file again, and there you go. Now it was able to recognize 1 user after we saved the file, and we'll simply hit next. And in this place it asks us to whether we want to skip a particular folder or include only a particular folder from the source mailbox, and you can add the time range as well. We'll skip this part. We will migrate everything from the mailbox. So we'll hit next, and it basically asks for the email address where we can send the report of the migration batch in progress. In case the migration batch fails, it will trigger an email and send it to the user mentioned in this here with the report. So you can add the email address accordingly and keep the following option as it is: automatically start the batch and manually complete the batch. And once you hit save, it will start the migration. It will basically start the checking of the source server to check for the mailboxes and the password which you have entered in your CSV. Once it is successfully logged into the source mailbox, then it will start the copying of the emails from new emails to old email in the following manner. And once you hit done, you should be able to see the batch which you have created under migration tab, migration batches, and the batch with the status syncing. It will soon fail because we have not provided the correct Google email and the password. You can basically test it for few accounts first, and once the migration is completed, you can log into the mailboxes, check what content is migrated and what content is not migrated. As I mentioned, calendar, contacts, and task is not migrated. Also, it does have email size limitation, so it would be better if you test it first on test mailboxes, confirm the content, and then proceed accordingly. So this is how we perform IMAP migration. First, we have to create the user in the Office 365, assign them licenses. You can verify the domain and create user with that domain. That is completely fine. Or you can use the onmicrosoft.com domain email addresses for the migration. That is completely fine as well. Once you create the user, you create the endpoint, which is created with the migration batch wizard. You provide the source IMAP settings, and then you provide the list of the users with the password to be migrated, and then the migration batch gets created successfully. And you can open the batch here. You can view details of it. You see all the users in here which is included in the batch. If you have 10 columns, if you have added 10 rows in the CSV, you will see all 10 of them listed here, and the status of it as well. Currently it is failed because yes, this user does not exist in this tenant, plus the source does not exist as well. And the first check, what it does is it check whether the user on the destination has a mailbox or not, which is also called as target. So it says that the recipient does not exist on the target. Create the recipient with the appropriate type for the migration, which basically states that create a user in the destination with the mailbox and then restart the migration. And if the migration fail and you correct the error, you can simply click on resume migration and then confirm. It will start the migration again and check for all the errors, and once it checks that the error has been successfully removed, then it will start the syncing process. Once synced, it will show the status as synced, which is something like this. So if the status is synced, it will sync or do a incremental sync after every 24 hours to fetch all the emails, the new emails which is delivered on the source mailbox and which was not migrated, and migrates it back to the destination mailbox. So there you go, guys. This was Imap migration in Office 365 using the new Exchange Admin Center. If you have any question, you can drop it in the comment section, and you have a nice day.